There is a mystery that weaves through existence, an invisible thread that seems to intertwine our destinies, connecting souls in ways that neither time nor distance can erase. This profound connection, which transcends the visible, is felt in moments of silence, in times of longing, or in the inexplicable warmth of a reunion. These are invisible bonds that, though intangible to the eyes, resonate powerfully within our spirit. As Rumi said, "Distance is a place that does not exist." These connections make us realize that we are all intertwined and that our souls often know truths our rational minds hesitate to accept. The signs we feel, those sudden sensations of closeness or remembrance, are like whispers from the soul. It's as if the universe sends us reminders that we are not alone, that something greater is guiding our steps and drawing together those who have stories to share. Ignoring these signs is like turning away from an open window. The fresh air is still there, but we choose not to feel it. Along this journey, we begin to understand that our deepest connections do not need words to exist. They simply are like stars that shine even when our eyes cannot reach them. To understand these bonds, perhaps we need to unlearn the logic of daily life and rediscover the language of the heart. The only real journey, wrote Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, is the one that leads us within ourselves. And it is there, in that intimate place of silence and depth, that we recognize the hands extended beyond the visible. This understanding awakens us to the fact that the connections that matter do not need explanation. They simply remind us, in subtle and unexpected ways, that we belong to one another, in an eternal and spiritual way. Throughout human history, people around the world have found their own ways to explain and revere the connections that transcend the material. Among the ancestors who lived in harmony with the earth and the sky, there was a certainty that we are all interconnected by invisible and eternal ties. For the indigenous peoples of the Americas, this connection is experienced through the concept of the Great Spirit, the force that resides in all things and unites humanity, nature, and the universe. This vision is not simply a belief but a way of living where each individual recognizes their part in the great circle of life. In Hinduism, the idea that all souls are manifestations of the same Brahman, the universal essence, brings forth the same notion of spiritual unity. There is no real separation between you and me, between the divine and the human. Everything is part of the same consciousness. This belief reminds us that every encounter, every bond formed, is a part of the whole, a reflection of something much larger, much more vast, that unfolds endlessly. Just as a drop contains the essence of the ocean, each of us carries the spark of divinity that connects us. In shamanic practices, understanding spiritual ties goes beyond humans. Animals, trees, and ancestral spirits become guides, messengers who help us navigate existence. They represent the forces of nature, which not only coexist with us but actively communicate with our spirit, showing the paths and helping us to reunite with those with whom we have deep ties. Regardless of culture, there is a universal belief that something invisibly and inexplicably connects us. It is a truth that transcends languages and continents, a truth that seems to speak directly to the human heart, reminding us that we are never alone. The Persian poet Hafiz says, "I have held you within me for so long, yet still, we are both held by something far more vast." Ancient wisdom, through its traditions and rituals, invites us to rediscover this truth. It reminds us that, behind the masks of individuality, we are all made of the same essence, an essence that pulses and vibrates into eternity. When we fall asleep, we cross the threshold that separates the conscious from the unconscious, entering a realm where the barriers of logic dissolve and spiritual connections become clearer. It is on the stage of dreams that many of the deepest messages reveal themselves, echoing what our waking mind tries to ignore. Dreams are often spiritual messengers, pointing to invisible ties that still vibrate, to feelings that have not been forgotten. Carl Jung, with his vision of the collective unconscious, helps us understand this hidden dimension of the mind, where symbols and images emerge as expressions of our deepest connections. For Jung, dreams are not merely disjointed fragments but manifestations of desires and needs that dwell within us and that, at times, come from something greater than ourselves, a connection to that which transcends the individual, an echo of the universe's own soul. Thus, dreams become a reflection of the desire for reconnection, a means through which our psyche expresses hidden longings, like a yearning for someone who, deep down, has never left us. In these dreams, the figure of a person with whom we no longer speak may appear, or the vivid feeling of being in a place that somehow still embraces us. This experience can be interpreted as a sign that emotional ties are not easily severed. It is as if the soul, freed from the restraints of daily life, allows itself to meet those it misses, sending signals and seeking answers. This dreamlike reunion, where words are unnecessary, brings an ancient truth. There are connections that time does not dissolve, that transcend the boundaries of reality and manifest in the silence of sleep. From a spiritual perspective, dreams are like bridges that cross the abyss of time and space, allowing distant souls to connect. They are a space of freedom where love, longing, and the spirit can wander and meet. An old Eastern wisdom says that dreams are the soul's conversation with the universe. And in this dialogue, we come closer to what is truly essential: the invisible bonds that keep us together, even if physical distance or time tries to separate us. Perhaps, upon waking from a dream that touches us deeply, the feeling of fullness or longing that remains is proof that these dream encounters are more than mere illusions. They are reminders that something eternal connects us, something that does not dissolve when the sun rises but persists, pulsating as a promise that we are, in fact, united beyond the visible. There is an ancient and silent wisdom that manifests in the rhythms of nature, a voice that speaks in whispers of the wind and the flutter of butterfly wings. For those who allow themselves to listen, nature is a vast book of signs and messages, a channel of communication that connects us to the invisible and the eternal. There is something profoundly spiritual in the way natural elements seem to align at certain moments, as if the universe wants to remind us that we are part of a greater whole, that our pains, longings, and hopes find an echo in the cosmos. Butterflies that appear unexpectedly, birds landing near us when least expected, the rainbow that appears after a storm. All these are signs that, for many, carry subtle messages. In spiritual traditions, butterflies are seen as bearers of transformation and the soul, a symbol that those we love are close, even if in another dimension. They fly lightly, hovering between the visible and the invisible, like messengers who whisper that the soul is eternal and that love is never lost. Birds, in turn, have been regarded as spirit messengers in cultures around the world. In many shamanic traditions, a bird appearing at a special moment is seen as a guide or protector, a reminder that we are never alone. When we find a feather along our path, perhaps it is a sign that a loved one is looking out for us, sending their love through the web of the universe. The wind that blows suddenly, caressing the skin like a familiar touch, may be seen as the manifestation of the presence of someone not physically by our side, but whose energy remains with us. Nature reflects our emotions, responds to what we feel. Natural elements are not just parts of an external world but a mirror of our inner being. When rain falls during moments of sadness, when the sun shines brightly after an important decision, or when a ray of light touches our eyes while thinking of someone, it is as if the universe, in its vast consciousness, wants to participate in our inner being, making us feel accompanied and embraced. Everything is interconnected. Eastern philosophy, especially Taoism, teaches us to understand the intrinsic harmony of nature and accept that we are not passive spectators of this great cosmic theater but involved actors. Lao Tzu wrote, "Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished." This teaches us to have patience, to accept the signs that come from the universe, and to realize that often what seems to be chance is, in fact, the invisible hand of life showing us that we are on the right path, that we are connected, and that we are never truly alone. The language of nature is silent poetry, a dance of energy that, if we are open, can reveal to us what the conscious mind cannot grasp. By observing nature, we are invited to recognize the subtlety of the messages it sends us, messages that tell us we belong to the world, that we are intertwined with all beings, and that, in the vastness of the universe, our ties are never forgotten. At certain moments in life, seemingly disconnected events arise with an undeniable precision. It's as if the universe, in a silent and loving conspiracy, orchestrates events, creating encounters and coincidences that leave us in awe. This feeling of meaningful coincidence is what Carl Jung called synchronicity, when two or more occurrences come together, not through a cause and effect relationship but through a profound meaning that transcends logic. Synchronicity is the echo of the invisible. It shows us that there is something greater operating behind the veil of reality, as if our actions, thoughts, and desires vibrate at a frequency that the universe in its vastness recognizes and responds to. Finding someone unexpectedly in a place that seems chosen by destiny, hearing a song with a specific message at the exact moment we need to hear it, or even repeatedly seeing a number that holds personal significance. All these are ways the universe guides us, reminds us that there is hidden meaning in things, that even when everything seems random, there is an intention behind it. From a spiritual perspective, nothing is coincidence. Each synchronicity is a small gift, a flash of connection that appears to reaffirm that we are in harmony with the path we are on. It is a reminder that, despite uncertainties and the apparent fragmentation of everyday life, there is an invisible thread that stitches our experience. A thread woven by love, the desire to grow, and the search for meaning. Joseph Campbell said that when we follow our bliss, doors open where there were only walls. Synchronicity is precisely that, the universe opening doors, creating connections, and leading us forward on our spiritual journey. For those who believe, synchronicity is like an arrow pointing in the right direction, a gentle push toward what we need to experience or understand. When we accept this idea, our relationship with chance changes. We begin to see every detail of life, every small coincidence, as part of a larger web that envelopes everything. As Jung said, we are not mere fragments lost in a random universe. We are, each of us, part of a connected whole that pulses and vibrates in sync with our thoughts and emotions. Embracing synchronicity is opening our eyes to everyday miracles, to the signs around us that show us we are not just wandering in chaos. Every unexpected encounter, every word heard at the right moment, every situation that seems to carry a purpose is a reminder that we are being guided. The universe conspires, not as an external and distant entity but as a part of ourselves, responding to our vibrations and showing us that the path, however winding, is never lonely. Synchronicity is proof that love and spirit are always conspiring in our favor, allowing us, in every moment, to rediscover the connections that make us truly human. Our being is composed not only of flesh and bone but also of energy, a vibrational force that extends beyond the physical body and connects us to everything and everyone around us. This energy, invisible to the eyes, is capable of traveling and touching other souls, transcending any spatial limit. We are like vast vibrational webs, constantly sending and receiving signals. It is through this subtle exchange of energies that we feel the presence of those we love, even when we are physically apart. Spiritual traditions speak of chakras, energy centers located along our body that govern both our emotional and spiritual aspects. The heart chakra, in particular, is the key to deep connection with other souls. It pulses, expands, and sends signals that can be felt by those with whom we have spiritual bonds. When we feel a sudden longing, a warmth in our chest that we cannot explain, it is possible that our heart chakra is vibrating in resonance with someone thinking of us at that exact moment. These are connections that happen on an energetic level and cannot be explained by logic but by the vibration of love. The words of philosopher and poet Khalil Gibran echo this truth. For even as love finds its depth in its desire to feel the other's heart vibrate, we feel others in our own energy because every thought, every emotion, carries a frequency that propagates and can reach those with whom we have a special bond. Just as stones thrown into a lake create waves that intersect, our thoughts and feelings create vibrations that meet in the vast ocean of the universe. These energetic connections do not need words. They are like music played at frequencies only the heart can hear. In moments of loneliness, we often feel a presence, as if the energetic field of a loved one extends to us. Perhaps it is a caring thought that came from afar, a memory full of affection that generated invisible waves until it found us. It's as if, without realizing it, we are always sending and receiving energetic messages, like a radio tuning into frequencies of love and longing. Meditation and conscious intention are ways to strengthen these energetic bonds. When we sit in silence and intentionally think of someone, we are sending a part of our energy to that person, connecting our vibrational fields. Ancient spiritual practices teach us that by focusing on feelings of love and gratitude, we can create even deeper bonds, feel the presence of others, and vibrate in harmony with them. There are no barriers that can contain the energy of love. It is free and eternal. Our energetic fields, therefore, are like antennas that pick up the vibrations of everything and everyone around us. They connect us, guide us, strengthen us. When we open ourselves to this perception, we begin to feel more clearly the vibrations of those who matter to us, realizing that we are always connected no matter the distance. The universe, after all, knows no boundaries for love. And it is through this energy that we keep our bonds alive, pulsating, as a constant reminder that even in the vastness of the world, we are always accompanied. We live surrounded by symbols, shapes, sounds, colors, aromas, that seem to connect with the deepest parts of our consciousness. Often, these symbols act as triggers, awakening memories and feelings that bring us back to what is essential. It's as if the universe, with its poetic nuances, has hidden messages in every little thing around us, waiting for us to be ready to interpret them. Symbols speak a language that reason doesn't understand but that the heart, in its silent wisdom, instantly deciphers. Carl Jung described archetypes as universal and innate patterns of behavior, symbolic images that inhabit the collective unconscious of humanity. These archetypes are bridges between individual minds and an ancestral memory that connects us all. When we see a particular symbol, such as a color, a flower, or even hear a melody, something inside us awakens, like an ancient memory we don't know the origin of but that makes us feel deeply. Perhaps it is the memory of an old connection, of someone who crossed our path and left an indelible mark on our being. A scent that suddenly appears in the air, for instance, may bring with it the presence of someone special, someone whose memory was hidden in the depths of our subconscious but that reveals itself softly, like an invisible touch. Likewise, a song, a place, a word spoken casually, all these elements have the power to transport us to significant moments and to revive feelings we thought were dormant. The universe uses these triggers as reminders that certain bonds do not unravel but remain strong, even when left in the depth of the subconscious. Ancient cultures had a profound respect for symbols and the signs they carried. For the Egyptians, the lotus flower was a symbol of rebirth and spirituality, a reminder of transcendence and the continuous flow of life. In Greek mythology, the nightingale was a symbol of love and longing, its song echoing as a lament for that which has passed but never been lost. These symbols, eternally present in our collective consciousness, are messengers that even today speak directly to our hearts. Perhaps you have experienced this, walking down the street and suddenly coming across something that makes you stop and feel a wave of emotion, as if something or someone is communicating with you. It could be a sign, a flower growing in a crack in the pavement, a sunset seen on an ordinary day. These symbols carry messages that only make sense to us because they are part of our own spiritual journey, our own stories of love, loss, and hope. Recognizing these symbols is an exercise in attention and sensitivity. They show us that even when we cannot see it, there is a constant communication between souls, an exchange of messages through the language of the universe. They are like secret reminders that true connections are not linear but are felt in the depths of being, each in its own way, each in its own time. Embracing these symbols is opening the heart to a greater wisdom, to the certainty that spiritual connections are not limited to the tangible present but travel between the conscious and the subconscious, seeking those still destined to hear and understand. The symbols that emerge in our daily lives are bridges between the visible and the invisible, echoes of something greater, something eternal. They remind us that we are more than mere individuals walking in a meaningless world. We are part of a rich and infinite tapestry, where each detail carries meaning, where each symbol is a reminder that we are all in some way connected, and that there is always a message waiting to be read, a message of love, longing, and reunion. There is a voice within us, soft and almost whispering, that guides us through life's paths, even when everything seems uncertain and obscure. This voice, our intuition, is not an irrational phenomenon but a profound form of wisdom that connects our consciousness to the whole. When we talk about spiritual connections, intuition is often the bridge that allows us to hear what words cannot express. It's as if each of us has an internal compass, oriented not by the poles of the physical world but by the vibrations of the heart and soul. Emotional telepathy is another of these phenomena that seem to transcend the barriers of logical thinking. Who has not experienced thinking about someone they had not seen for a long time, only to unexpectedly receive a message from that person? Or who has not suddenly felt, for no apparent reason, a concern for a loved one, only to find out later that this person was going through a difficult time? These phenomena are forms of spiritual communication that occur beyond words, as if our souls can reach out to each other through silence, sending signals that only the heart can perceive. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "The intuitive mind is a sacred gift and the rational mind is a faithful servant." We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. This statement invites us to rescue and value the ability to trust our intuition, to listen to that inner voice that tells us about ourselves and about others. Often, we are so immersed in the noise of the external world that we fail to listen to the wisdom within us. This wisdom is the same that makes us feel the presence of someone we love, even when that person is miles away. There is a deep and beautiful mystery in emotional telepathy. It is not about reading thoughts but about sharing emotions on a subtle level, about feeling what another soul feels, even without being physically close. When the mind quiets down and the heart opens, these connections become possible, almost inevitable. We are all made of the same essence, and it is this essence that allows us to feel the pain, joy, or longing of those we love, even when we cannot touch or see them. To cultivate this intuitive connection, inner silence is essential. We need to learn to listen not just to what comes from outside but to what springs from deep within. It is in this silence that signs manifest, that messages become clear. When we meditate, when we quiet our minds and breathe deeply, we create space for this inner voice to guide us. And sometimes, it will lead us to someone for no apparent reason, just because of the need for a hug that we cannot give, but that we can energetically send. Trusting intuition is allowing our soul to communicate freely. It is accepting that there is something deeper than what we see, something that connects all beings and transcends rationality. Emotional telepathy is one of the many gifts that spiritual connection offers us. A way to not feel alone, to sense the closeness of those we love, even in moments of solitude. When we open ourselves to hear this inner voice and trust what it says, we realize that there is much more between souls than what we can see. It is a silent and beautiful dance, a reminder that we are all together, sharing emotions, guided by a greater force that unites and protects us always. Science and spirituality, long seen as opposites, find in quantum physics a point of convergence. The microscopic universe, full of mysteries and infinite possibilities, shows us that reality is far more interconnected and complex than we could ever imagine. One of the most intriguing concepts in quantum physics is quantum entanglement, a connection so deep between two particles that even when separated by thousands of kilometers, they remain interconnected, reacting as if they were one. This quantum notion offers us a powerful metaphor for our own spiritual connection, as if our souls, upon touching once, remain forever entangled regardless of space or time. Quantum entanglement, or entanglement, challenges our traditional understanding of cause and effect, suggesting that there is an intrinsic link between all elements of the cosmos, as if the universe were a vast fabric where each thread is essential to the weave. In the same way, human connections extend beyond what we can see, and the feelings we nurture for those we love create bonds that transcend the physical world. When we think of someone intensely and lovingly, it is not difficult to imagine that real energy is being sent, touching that person even from a great distance. Love is, in a way, a quantum force, mysterious, invisible, and powerful. Scientists do not yet fully understand the phenomenon of entanglement, but it suggests that everything in the universe is deeply connected, that each part influences the whole, and that there is no true separation. This idea echoes the oldest spiritual beliefs, which claim that the universe is one, a web of interconnections where nothing happens in isolation. When we meditate on those we love, when we send good vibrations and thoughts of healing, it's as if we are tapping into this invisible network of connections. And who can say that these energies don't reach their destination? Philosopher David Bohm, one of the most influential thinkers in the field of quantum physics, suggested that there is an implicate order in the universe, a hidden, invisible order that guides and structures everything we see. For Bohm, the separation between us and the external world is an illusion. We are all part of an indivisible whole. This idea reflects what spiritual traditions have claimed for millennia, that we are not separate, that we are all expressions of the same universal energy, and that our souls, like entangled particles, respond to each other even when distances seem insurmountable. Perhaps quantum physics is the modern language to express an ancient mystery, the mystery that our souls have the power to touch each other even when bodies are far apart. When we truly love someone, our energy intertwines with theirs in a way that cannot be undone. And even if science does not yet have all the answers, it offers us a vision of the universe that increasingly resembles spirituality. A universe where everything is connected, where every intention, every thought, reverberates and creates waves that somehow reach those for whom they are intended. Thus, we can look at the cosmos and see not an empty and indifferent space but a living network of connections and possibilities, where our actions and thoughts have impact, where our energy, subtle as it may be, can cross boundaries we once thought insurmountable. We may not fully understand how it works, but we know, on a deep and intuitive level, that we are always touching others in some way. That our own existence is a reflection of the other's existence, and that, like quantum particles, even when we seem distant, we are always intertwined. There is something extraordinarily powerful in real stories. They carry the authenticity of human experience, the personal touch that reminds us that we are not alone in our journeys of searching for meaning and connection. These are accounts of unlikely encounters, meaningful coincidences that defy logic, of deep feelings that surpass any physical barrier. These stories are living proof that spiritual bonds are not just abstraction or theory but a reality that permeates the lives of ordinary people all over the world. One such story comes from a woman who, after years without contact with an old friend, began to dream of him repeatedly, always in situations of longing and tenderness. She described the dreams as real encounters, full of details and emotions. Driven by an intuition she could not ignore, she decided to look for this friend and found out that he had been going through a tough time, precisely when the dream started. She then reached out, and they rekindled their friendship, as if the universe had found a way to bring them together at the exact moment they needed each other most. There is also the story of a man who, after losing a loved one, began to notice subtle signs around him. A specific butterfly always landed near him during his morning walks, bringing a strange feeling of comfort and remembrance. He felt, inexplicably, that this butterfly carried the presence of his beloved. It may seem like a small occurrence, but to him, it was a balm in his grief, a sign that, somehow, love transcended loss and remained alive in unexpected manifestations of nature. These stories of synchronicity and connection are a reminder that, behind the visible, there is something greater orchestrating the encounters, the reconnections, and the signs. A young woman shared that while going through a difficult change in her life, she ran into an old childhood friend she hadn't seen in years. The meeting was deeply emotional, and it was just the beginning of a renewed friendship that brought support and love at a time when both needed it. The chances of meeting were slim, but the universe, in its wisdom, made their paths cross at the perfect moment. There is a deep beauty in seeing how these ties, which we often ignore, manifest in the most unexpected and subtle ways. They are not major events but small touches of fate that, if we are attentive, reveal how interconnected we all are. There are also those who report feeling a sudden wave of warmth in their chest while thinking of a loved one, only to later find out that this person was facing a difficult situation and needed support. It's as if the energy that connects us could cross distances and remind us that there is something greater that unites us. These experiences show that love and connection are not limited by the laws of space and time. They are living proof that when we believe in the existence of spiritual bonds, we open ourselves to the unexpected and to the beauty that life can offer. They inspire us to have faith in the invisible, to believe that our intentions and feelings have the power to touch other souls, and that we are not alone in our journey. In a world that often seems cold and disconnected, these stories are a beacon of hope, a reminder that there is something eternal and luminous that connects us all. Strengthening our spiritual connections requires an open heart, a genuine intention to reconnect with what is most profound and true. There are ancient practices and rituals that can help us intensify these connections, to feel more clearly the presence of those we love, and to cultivate a heightened awareness of the universe around us. It's as if, through certain gestures and moments of stillness, we can tune our spirits, aligning with the vibrations of those connected to us on subtle levels. Guided meditation is one of the most powerful practices for reconnecting with someone we miss. By focusing on our breath, we calm our minds and create space for emotions to be felt without distractions. Visualizing the loved one, imagining a field of light surrounding both, or simply recalling moments of joy together helps strengthen that bond. Intention is powerful energy, and dedicating a few minutes of the day to sending thoughts of love and well-being to someone special is like planting seeds of connection in the invisible garden of the spirit. Another effective practice is the exercise of visualization. During meditation, you can imagine a thread of light connecting your heart to the heart of the other person. This thread can have the color that best symbolizes the love or bond you wish to cultivate. Feeling the energy flowing through this thread is a way to affirm that, even at a distance, there is an open path for the exchange of feelings and presence. This type of visualization reinforces the idea that, in essence, we are always connected, and that physical barriers are only a small part of reality. Crystals can also be used as catalysts to strengthen these connections. Rose quartz, known as the stone of love, is especially effective for this purpose. Keeping it close during meditation or carrying it with you in daily life helps open the heart chakra and vibrate in tune with universal love. Lighting a candle, saying a small prayer, or creating an altar with objects that represent the bond you wish to reinforce are also ways to ritualize this intention. These acts symbolize, in the material world, the deep desire to keep connections alive in the spiritual realm. Besides meditative practices and rituals, gratitude plays an essential role in strengthening spiritual ties. Feeling and expressing gratitude for the people in our lives creates an energy of love that reverberates and touches the other. Gratitude purifies the heart, removes fear, and creates a positive vibrational field that attracts reciprocity. Each morning upon waking or at night before sleeping, remembering the people who touch us and being grateful for them creates an energetic bridge that helps strengthen the invisible bonds that bind us. Personal growth is also key in this process. The more we know ourselves, the more deeply we connect with others. Cultivating self-love is essential, for without it, we cannot truly love. When we are at peace with ourselves, our energy flows freely, allowing us to connect more deeply with the universe and with those who are part of our journey. The practice of self-knowledge, through meditation, reflection, and acceptance of our feelings, makes us more open and available to feel the connection with others. Finally, sending good energy and having positive thoughts about those we love is an act that has an impact, even if we can't see it immediately. Pure intention, that which arises from the desire to see the other well, has a power that transcends materiality. As the poet Rumi said, "Love is the bridge between you and everything." When we put this intention into practice, when we love and vibrate with the intent to connect, we create invisible bridges that unite us with everything that matters, making these connections ever deeper and unbreakable. These practices not only strengthen the bonds we have with others but also bring us closer to our deepest selves, helping us live more fully and consciously. Through meditation, gratitude, and intention, we can open our hearts to feel and vibrate with universal love, keeping alive the connections that give meaning to our existence. May we always remember that, no matter how far away someone may be, there is a way to touch their soul and feel their presence because, in essence, love is eternal and immeasurable. Human connections are precious and extend far beyond what the eyes can see. Throughout this journey, we have reflected on signs, synchronicities, dreams, and the subtle language of intuition that echoes within us. These signs are whispers from the universe, reminding us that separation is only an illusion and that, on a spiritual level, we are always together. As Khalil Gibran said, "Love knows its depth in the hour of separation." It is in that space between physical absence and spiritual presence that we find the true meaning of the bonds that connect us. May we open our hearts to perceive these signs, to trust in the universe and its mysterious ways of creating connections. May each moment of synchronicity, each symbol or intuition remind us that we are part of something greater, and that we are all connected through invisible threads of love and meaning. Cultivating these connections is a way to honor life, to embrace mystery, and to live more fully and inspired. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. By doing this, you help us share these messages of light, love, and connection with more people. Let's expand this network of spiritual connections together and spread good vibes throughout the world. Gratitude for being here and being part of this journey.